How many times a week we should work out for optimum muscle building and strength development? Is it 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 6 times a week? Is it more frequent training better? That's what we're gonna explore in this video. Before we're gonna go over the optimal frequency of training for muscle building and strength building, I think it's important to understand much more important components for training for muscle or strength than just the amount of frequency you're doing per week. When it comes down to muscle building, the number one driver or stimulus for muscle building is volume, which is defined by the amount of hard working sets you're performing per muscle group per week. And the optimal range for muscle building is around 10 to 20 sets. That's a general rule. When it comes down to intensity for muscle building, we want to be around 5 or less reps close to failure. For example, let's say you're doing a squat and you did 10 repetitions on the squat, but you could do 15 reps. That means you have 5 reps left in the tank. That means you were 5 reps close to failure. So for muscle building, we want to be around 5 or around probably 3 or less reps in reserve, or 3 reps close to failure or go to failure. For strength, the stimulus or the driver is the intensity, which is defined by the amount of weight that you're lifting. And for strength, intensity should be around 75 to 90% of your 1 rep max. And we're looking around 3 to 5 sets per exercise, per movement. Usually for strength training, we're prioritizing big compound multi-joint movements like bench press, squats, deadlift, things like that. For strength, competitions are around 1 to 5 reps. That's type of a general rep range for strength. For muscle building, the rep range is much bigger. Anywhere between 5 to 30 repetitions is a good amount of range for muscle building. So as long we're working hard, we're doing appropriate rep ranges, appropriate sets per week, with proper form on the exercises, and we progressively overloading. That means with time, we're trying to challenge ourselves with our exercises and our workouts by either lifting more weights or doing more reps or doing more sets or improving your technique. Then we're gonna be able to build muscle and build strength. Obviously, also if we're getting enough recovery, if we're recovering properly, and our quality of nutrition is also very good. But those are the most important components than just the frequency of the training. Since now we understand what's actually important for strength building and muscle building, now let's go over the optimal frequency of training per week for muscle building and strength training. The frequency is gonna depend on many components, such as your experience level, your ability to recover from your workouts, your preferences, and the most important thing is your time available, your schedule. Because yeah, you may be ideal amount of training is 5-6 times a week, for example, but you realistically only can 3 times a week because of your busy work schedule. So that's something that we have to consider. Now, when it comes down to muscle building and strength training, I think for beginners, meaning for people who never exercised before or they had very long break from training, 2 times a week full body strength training and muscle building training can be enough, at least initially. For people who been training longer, maybe 6 months, they're more a little bit intermediate, I think 3 to 4 times a week is an optimal amount. Now, people who are much more advanced, competitors, people who are professional bodybuilders or professional powerlifters, that's might be required more. For bodybuilders, that can be 4 to 6 times a week. Some bodybuilders train even 2 times a day. Powerlifters or strength athletes is a little bit different. They don't train as frequent as bodybuilders because they train much more intensely with much more heavier weights, which takes more time for the CNS to recover from. So they train around 4 times a week. But my audience that I want to talk to is regular people, people who want to get in shape, people who are busy professional, they want to look good, but they don't necessarily want to compete. So for that type of folks, I would recommend to be around anywhere between 2 to 4 times a week. I think this is appropriate amount, as long obviously we're training hard, we're progressively overloading, we have a proper technique, and for muscle building, we're training around 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. And for strength training, we're anywhere between 75 to 90% of intensity. I usually, for my clients, do a blend of muscle building and strength training, where on the first exercise, they're doing some type of a compound lift, such as a squat, a deadlift, bench press, 4 to 5 sets, anywhere between 3 to 5 reps. It really depends on the individual's technique and experience. I don't do that necessarily for complete beginners, but for more intermediate people, I prescribe those exercises. And then I follow up by supplemental exercises for also a blend of strength and muscle building where they're doing anywhere between 6 to 16 reps per movement or muscle group. Like we're doing supplemental exercises like on the incline bench press, the bend over rows, pull-ups, things like that. All those movements gonna help those people to get stronger and build muscle. So I do combination of blend of muscle building and strength training. And so that's type of a average or optimal range, 2 to 4 times a week for beginner and intermediate people. Now let's go over like some templates and examples how we can distribute the amount of training. Like for example, you can only train 2 times a week. I would recommend to focus on full body strength muscle building workouts, because that's gonna allow you to hit each muscle group twice a week, which is a little bit more optimal for muscle building. If you train 3 times a week, you can split that to upper body, lower body, and then full body, or you can do 3 full body workouts. If you're doing 4 times a week, you can do upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. You can also do 4 full body workouts. You can also do push, pull, lower body if you're training 3 times a week. So there are different splits that you can do. But the point with all of that is, what I want to say is that some people think that the more they train, the longer they are at the gym, the better that's gonna be for them. That's not always the case. What's more important is the quality of your exercises, of your training. If you're actually training hard, if you're getting enough sleep, if you're recovering, and you're progressively overloading, meaning you're challenging yourself gradually with time. I see a lot of people spending 2 hours on the gym, but they're not really working hard. They're spending a lot of time on the phone or chatting, and they're doing the same amount of reps, the same amount of weight, and they kind of doing random exercises, random workouts without a training plan. And they, maybe going to the gym more frequently and they're spending longer time on the gym, but doesn't necessarily mean they training with quality and purpose. So that's more important than just the frequency of the training. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.